Hello and welcome to this episode of my podcast. Tom slips back into conversation with. I recorded this episode a little while ago, and life and work and everything else has just kind of got a bit busy, so have recently been able to edit this conversation. This conversation is a little bit different because it's a catch-up with Fides, a friend of the podcast who was back on Season 1, Episode 8. It was a really nice chance to get back into conversation with Fides and see how she's doing, because a lot of things have changed since last we spoke. I will get into the podcast episode in a little bit, but I thought I'd give you some updates and changes that are going on in my life as well. So lately I have been inspired with my craft and my creating, because I recently did something incredibly exciting, a project that I can't really talk about at the moment, but I met some really lovely creators, and I'm hoping to talk to them on the podcast as well soon, and talk about their experience as well. But since then I've had some really new fun ideas for knitting projects and some other video projects as well. I have been trying to make notes with my knitting projects as well, and I'm finally starting to turn them into patterns. I've had quite a lot of people over the few years asking me about pattern stuff that I've been doing, and because I just kind of make everything up and I don't really make very good patterns, it's very hard to actually turn it into something, but I've been trying really hard lately to create a new pattern that I can share with everyone. So hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I should have a pattern that is ready to go. My first pattern that I'll be releasing is my big cozy hat. It's one of the first big kind of things that I've knitted and created, and I love making them, and I wanted to do something a little bit different with my pattern writing as well. I want to release a pattern for free, because I know times are really hard at the moment, and the whole point of my knitting and my crafting is to help inspire people. So I wanted to release the pattern for free so that people can download it and knit it and try it. But there's also a little link as well, that's in my link tree and my bios and on the pattern as well. So people can support me by buying me a coffee through a website, and then the money kind of helps fund me creating and crafting. So I will leave links in the description where you can find my pattern, and I've also created some little how-to videos as well to go with the pattern, because I think, I just want to help try and inspire and make it more accessible. So I will be back at the end of the podcast with a little bit more chat and a little bit more update about me, but for now I really hope you enjoy this episode of the conversation, and the audio quality is a little bit off on her end, just because as you'll hear, she is now travelling and living in a van that her and a partner have created, so the Wi-Fi signal is not the best, but it's a really enjoyable episode, so I'll see you back at the end. We now step into the conversation with me and Fides. So how have you been?
Good, thank you. And you?
Yeah, good, thank you. It's been a while since we had a proper conversation, but and a lot's changed for you, really.
Yes, definitely. It feels like forever since the last conversation we had, actually.
So I think when we last spoke, I think you were talking about doing a bit of traveling, but since then you've bought a van and you've done up a van and you've done it. Do you want to tell me a bit about the whole experience, because it sounds incredible?
Yeah, we just decided when the second lockdown hit, we decided that we had to change something, because everything was really stuck, because my partner couldn't work. I just had a couple of side hustles and it wasn't enough for paying anything really. So we decided to use everything we saved up to buy a van. And that's what we did. We found a very nice van from a carpenter, and it was very affordable. And then we took the van, we put everything we needed inside, everything else we sold or gave away to other people. And then we moved with the van and everything we wanted to keep to Hungary, where we built the van into our home.
That's amazing.
That was very cool, because my partner's parents or family is living in Hungary, and they used to have a huge garden, and we could camp there, and in the meantime, work on the van.
Yeah, because I think you were living in Germany last when we spoke, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So where have you travelled? So where did you start off with the van? Do you start off in Germany or?
No, we started in Hungary actually, because in the very beginning the van wasn't ready to use like properly,
Hmm.
but we did have a couple of kind of try out little journeys to see if everything holds right. And we've been
Yeah.
building on the van for like 6 months or so. So we just had to check from time to time if the things we built in there are fixed properly and stuff. So yeah, we basically started in Hungary. And when we finished, we went over Austria to Germany. We got the proper registration for the van, which was really cool. Everything worked out very well. And from there on, we kind of traveled a little through Switzerland and then back to Hungary and then again back to Germany. And then when winter got very cold, we went to Spain. So we crossed France, and then we spent like six or a little more, about 6 months in Spain.
Wow.
And then we went to France again, and then we went to Germany where we worked this summer. And now I'm back in Hungary for just a couple of weeks.
That's
So yeah.
amazing. That's really cool. Well, it sounds like you traveled everywhere and you can kind of escape the cold by like just driving to somewhere warm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually skipped a couple of countries where we just went through or we just stopped for a couple of days, but we've seen a lot.
That's incredible. So are you, because your partner tattoos, right?
Exactly.
So
And
is
me
he,
too.
and you started, because I remember you saying you kind of like started a bit and you've like done a little bit, but now you're actually like you are you both able to like get guest spots in tattoo studios?
Yeah.
That's cool. So you were able to
No,
like kind of keep going, just like work here and there. Well, I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
In Spain, it was quite difficult, but we worked in France.
Hmm.
And yeah, and then obviously in Germany, because Germany is kind of like our home spot or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to find work there. So in a couple of weeks, we are going to return to the more northern part of
Hmm.
Germany and work there for a couple of weeks before we are headed south again. So Germany is still a very important place for us
Yeah.
work wise.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
so cool. And you're still kind of creating patterns, and because I know you've got a Patreon now, so I'm guessing that's like another source of income, being able to sell your patterns and create and stuff. When did you start
Exactly.
your Patreon?
I think it was July or August last year.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was when I started it, because I knew that everything changed a little, and with me going like full time with Asramati also changed things. And obviously, like I said, in Spain, we didn't find a lot of spaces or place to tattoo because
Hmm.
there's just not a lot of work in
Yeah.
general there. So it was great for me to have like Patreon and my website. And yeah, it was like, or it is kind of like an extra source of stability and income. And it's awesome. I actually love this platform so much.
That's really cool, especially because like Instagram lately, their algorithm has like changed, and it's much harder to see content from the people that you really want to see. Which is like since reaching back out to you, like your stuff is like starting to come back on my feed. So, um, and it's really nice kind of catching up on what you've been up to, your journeys and stuff.
Same. I've seen your stuff a couple of days ago, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And it's the same because I follow you, and I follow you for a reason,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I just don't see the
yeah.
people that I follow.
It's a shame that the algorithms kind of changed a little bit. I've been thinking about getting a website again so that I can try and help promote stuff that I do. But I've been trying out different platforms as well. So like I'm now on TikTok, um, trying to do more stuff on YouTube, but also trying to fit it around like a full-time work as well, which is very difficult. Yeah,
I get that.
yeah. So how's your pattern writing going? Because like you were writing quite a few patterns before, weren't you? So
It's even more actually than it used to be, but maybe it's not that recognizable for everyone because a lot of these patterns are going to Patreon only. So yeah, what I create, like the majority of new and very like special patterns, I share with my Patreon subscribers only.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I released 3 patterns on my actual website so everyone can purchase them. Yeah, since I think January or so. But most of the patterns I actually wrote for my Patreon. So
That's really cool.
but it's been a lot.
Yeah, that's like a very clever idea, because obviously Patreon is a very good way of like having a bit more of a stable income rather than on your website where it's here and there when people can go and get your patterns.
Yeah, and you can't really predict it. So Patreon is great because in a way I show how grateful I am for these people with giving them stuff that no one else has access to. And I love doing that actually.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, because I remember talking to you, like you're very passionate about what you do and trying to create sustainable clothing. And there's a lot of people on this platform who, well, in our kind of community that are very passionate about kind of promoting like sustainable kind of slow fashion. And yeah, I think Patreon is like a really good way of showing that back to your fans.
Exactly. And kind of like going a little deeper into all these things. Like when I talk on Instagram about how I do stuff sustainably or how I thrift stuff that I use or reuse stuff or upcycle stuff, on Patreon I can be much more detailed about this. So I can upload a tutorial on how exactly you can, for example, upcycle hardware, or how you can reuse fabrics and include them in your crochet or stuff like that. So I can get like much more precise about everything that I do. And I'm really happy to show more kind of like insider tips that I came up with and I personally use, and I wouldn't be very comfortable with sharing it like with everyone, but I'm very comfortable with sharing it with specific people who are dedicated to support my brand and myself, and it's really cool.
That's a really cool platform that you've been able to like utilize like to its best by the sounds of it, and it's able to support you on this amazing journey that you're on.
Yeah.
So how big is the van?
I think it's about 7 meters or so.
Okay.
In total, but the actual living space is I think 4 meters or something. Yeah, and basically half of the van is the bed, but we can convert it into a sitting and eating area too. So
yeah,
it's pretty comfortable.
That's cool. How much time do you spend in the van? Because I'm guessing if you go off to go and tattoo and work and stuff.
A lot of time actually, because I'm still working from home. I'm working like on the computer or on my tablet or anything. I'm writing patterns, I'm creating custom orders, and all these things I'm basically doing inside the van. And yeah, it's like a real home to me actually.
Yeah.
And in between, yeah, obviously we go places and we go tattooing and stuff, but for nighttime we go back to our home, and it's just like a normal apartment, just a little smaller and very mobile. So
yeah. Oh, you got great views wherever you park. How do you find parking? Do you just, is there like a, because I think I've seen apps and stuff, but how do you find parking?
Yeah, sometimes if we kind of know the area, we already know where to park, or we just try different places, or we also use an app and it kind of shows us, we can choose if we want to see like paid parking spots or free parking spots and camping places or something. But within the last couple of months, we haven't been using like one single paid parking spot. We've been always parking for free here and there.
Yeah.
And especially when traveling and when you don't stay at a place for a very long time, this is very like, it can be done. It's not that difficult because you are just there for like 1 or 2 nights and then you go on. But if you're staying longer, then it's probably best to have like a place which is a little more hidden, or yeah, or you have to pay. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just have to. But yeah, for the most part, we could park for free, and it was very not as complicated as they imagined in the beginning of our journey.
Yeah. It's probably got easier as you've kind of got to know spots and you can be a bit more savvy about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nice. Do you want to talk to me about you kind of tattooing? Because like I remember like the initial conversation, like you kind of learnt a little bit, but then I think you didn't really pursue it too much. But I think your partner was kind of teaching you. So when did you kind of start doing that a bit more full time?
Tattoo.
Yeah.
I think actually it was in 2019, but then
Okay.
we had to have this break.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it took a while, like yeah, to kind of come back to it. But in the meantime, I have been tattooing like my clients that I already had.
Yeah.
So yeah, in whenever we go like to tattoo conventions or guest spots or anything, then I really get into it more. But I am tattooing on a regular basis. It's just a little different now that we are in the van because I can't go to like our specific tattoo salon where I used to work or we
Yeah.
used to work. So yeah, that's a little different. But due to the pandemic, everything kind of broke and started new. So it's all a little different now, but I prefer it that way because now I do have breaks in between like tattoos, but like the past couple of weeks, I've been tattooing a lot. I've been doing really, really much. And then I realized that I do know stuff and it does get lost. It's like crochet or knitting. You kind of
You pick it
what
back
you
up
already
again.
know.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Well, if you ever like randomly come over to the UK, I don't know if you were ever planning to come to the UK, let me know because that'd be pretty cool.
I would love to. We really want to go, but I am a little afraid of driving on the wrong side, you know,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
with a huge van.
Yeah.
But
I
we
think
we both.
it's probably easier in a bigger van because people can see you and you can see over everyone else a bit more, but it would be getting used to a little bit more. I think I've
Yeah.
only driven in Europe once, and it was weird for like the first bit. But luckily, when I went to like Fuerteventura, in the Canary Islands, so there was like no one else on the roads. So that was it was okay because I was driving a car that was meant to be on that side of the road. I think it's probably harder if you've got the steering wheel on the other side. You just got to keep
Exactly.
reminding yourself.
I'm really afraid of that. So
Yeah.
I really want to go. My partner really wants to go, especially as his sister lives in the UK,
Mhm.
and we've been there. But yeah, maybe we just need a couple more months or just a little more experience. But I would love to come, especially to tattoo. Would be so great.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Do you have like a tattoo like Instagram or page at all as well?
I do. It's Azramati Tattoos.
Okay, I'll get that off you and I'll put it in the description because I also want to check it out because I don't think I've seen it. So yeah, I definitely want to check that out as well.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, what's it been? I mean, there's quite a lot of change. Did I see you've got a dog? Yeah.
We got a dog. Yeah, we adopted a dog from a dog shelter.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah, and
cool.
he
But
was like 6 months old or something when we got him, and now he's about a year.
oh wow, that's cute. What kind of dog is it?
We don't know. It's kind of like an odd mixture between we think something really really big
Yeah.
and something very short.
Yeah, because I've seen them kind of pop up in the odd like your stories and stuff. But that's really cool. So you've had him
Yeah,
for about what 6 months or so?
yeah, exactly,
Nice.
something like that. And it's been really nice, especially as through the dog we explored the places where we were much more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we walk the dog like twice a day, and every walk is about like 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
And this way, we got to explore the places, and we got to know everything. Even if we stayed at a place like only for 2 days or something, We got to climb mountains, and we went through forests, and walked along beaches, and much more than we would have done it without a dog.
That's incredible.
It's
Yeah,
really cool.
we found when we got our dog that like we've been living in this kind of part of Coventry for like a while, and then when we got a dog, we like discovered way more like just around us, and it really does make you get out and explore and see new things. Like
Yeah, and
cool.
try new like roads, and you will see. I mean, yeah, we also realized that showing our dog different places makes him like really I don't know, open-minded, and he's kind of more relaxed whenever we go different places that he doesn't know before. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
For everyone, really good actually.
Yeah. It must be quite even more of a tight fit then, with like you got the two of you and now a kind of medium-sized dog.
Yeah, he was really small when you got him, and the people from the dog shelter were like, "Yeah, he's the small one. He's going to stay small. We promised."
Yeah, well, we got Moko, who's a Cocker Spaniel, and we thought, you know, they're like a certain size, and she's definitely on the larger size of the scale of that breed of dog. But yeah, it's just always the way, isn't it? You always think that you're going to get like, oh, he's got a nice little small dog that's going to be like a bit more practical, and then they turn to be quite big.
Exactly. But I love your dog. It's looking so cute.
Yeah, she's really cute. I am making more clothing for her than I am for me at the moment. I've made her
like that.
Yeah, I've made her a few sweaters. I've got another design in my head that I'm going to try and have a go at making.
Cool.
And then I've just been making loads of like dog harnesses and stuff, but it's good.
And you upcycled a lot of them, right?
Like, yeah, I've started upcycling. Yeah, so
cool.
I have bought a few bits and bobs when I was like learning a bit more. Some material from Etsy, trying to find like nice suppliers. But lately I'm trying to like get old shirts and go to like charity shops and stuff like that, and trying to upcycle clothes that wouldn't necessarily get used into something that's a bit more practical and that would get used. So yeah.
And did you also mention that it's kind of like satisfying to reuse something that would have been like thrown away or so?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like some of the shirts that I've like they've been in my wardrobe for like probably years. Like I haven't worn them for ages, and it's really nice being able to like turn them into something that is going to get used rather than just sitting in a wardrobe, or like even just sitting in a charity, because they probably would just sit in a charity shop for a while, and then I don't know what they do with stock that doesn't sell. I don't know if they get rid of it or they send it somewhere else, but it is really satisfying to use it up, and I'm trying to use as many of the scraps as I can. So I'm like trying to have as little waste as possible. But yeah, it's really cool.
That's cool, because I feel the same way. It always felt like such a rewarding feeling to actually make something new and exciting, but you don't have to buy new stuff for it. I love it. It's really cool.
Because you use a lot of like upcycled yarn and like fabric and stuff, don't you? Is that
I only use
Is
and
that
then
like
sometimes I even like mix different yarn weights. Like for example, for this one, I even brought it here. So
awesome. That's really cool.
So, yeah, that's one of my latest designs, which is going to go to Patreon real soon. And I even use really different yarn weights for that. So I thrifted different kinds of yarn, and I thought the colors would look really cute together. But one of the yarns was lace weight and the other was worsted. And I just doubled the lace weight yarn, which made it kind of like similar to worsted. And now I think it's almost not recognizable anymore that I use different yarn sizes.
Yeah, no, you
and
can't.
It's really cool if you kind of try to combine things that you maybe wouldn't have necessarily tried if you had like a bunch of yarn on hand, and you kind of get surprised by how well it works.
Yeah, it probably is more challenging and probably more rewarding when you can get like two different weights and stuff like to combine and work. Where do you normally find? Do you still find your yarn in like charity shops and stuff?
Sometimes I do, and also flea markets, but most of them I thrift online. So from private people who want to sell their like grandma's old yarn or so,
Yarn
for
stash.
example.
Yeah, that's really cool. And
So
I
this
guess
is, you know,
traveling around, you're able to like find. Are you finding like in different countries there's like different upcycled kind of like people are trying to get rid of different yarns and stuff?
also, yeah,
Yeah.
also. So for example, the yellow one I just showed you, I found in Hungary last year,
Hmm.
and I think I found like 3 balls or so, which was really cool for kind of like a medium project
Yeah.
or small to medium project, especially when combining colors. And I got much more brave in that because I used to use only one color for one piece I made, and
Hmm.
now like I'm much more um, adventurous when combining colors. Like for example, this one I also brought this. It's also a new design of mine, and it's also available on my website now. And it's a skirt, and I didn't have enough of this like golden color,
Hmm.
so I found this beige or creamy,
Yeah.
and I think it's actually really cute. And I randomly combined the colors together, which I wouldn't have tried before, to be honest. So
That's cool. It's
yeah,
kind of
I
getting you to
like those.
experiment a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. Especially now that I can't order yarn wherever I am. Sometimes I just have to wait for another half year or so to get back to a place where I can actually ship the yarn to. So I just have what I have now, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to make the best out of it.
Yeah, how is it trying to get like a bit of a yarn stash for I guess you've got to be a bit more mindful of like the yarn you're getting because you have a lot less space.
Yeah, true. I when we decided to leave Germany, I bought a bunch of yarn and I filled up like a big suitcase.
Hmm.
And ever since I think I bought yarn only once or so. But other than that, I could work from this stash that I had. So it was like quite a big suitcase actually.
Yeah.
And also another suitcase with like fabrics and stuff that I wanted to upcycle, like old zippers, fabrics, buttons, and everything that I use for doing like these extra little bits to
Yeah.
my. So yeah, that's been working quite well, especially as I was in Germany like every half year or every like 7, 8 months. So yeah, whenever I have to buy something new, I can like order it to my grandma's home or something.
Yeah. That's cool because I feel like a lot of us crafters we kind of we buy overbuy and stock up on stuff and then like I've still got yarn that I bought like years ago that I haven't really I've started thinking of a project that I can try and use it for, but I do have lots of excess. So I
Mm-hmm.
think quite a lot of us could probably do with not necessarily scaling back, but trying to be a bit more mindful of like projects that we could actually use it for.
Exactly, and still enjoy the process of supporting like indie dyers and stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's really cool and that's a good thing to do. But at the same time, you can maybe combine something, like combine a new yarn that you just got and you supported another small business with, and combine it with something you already have on hand. Or sometimes even if you can't find the right color or something, you can go to a thrift store and maybe find a knitted old sweater and you can undo it and reuse the yarn.
Mm.
Sometimes the yarn is very good quality and you can do this. It's definitely a little more work, but it's way more affordable and really sustainable to do this,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I quite like when we do get to go on holiday. Like we went to Barcelona fairly recently. I ended up buying some yarn and I bought some fabric just as like a trying to remember the place in a way that was like trying to buy something that I would only really be able to get there, which was that was quite fun. I quite like doing that. If I'm going to buy yarn, have a bit more of like a meaning behind it rather than just buying big loads of stock.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, in the same time, it's kind of like evening out the fact that this special yarn is more expensive, right?
Mm.
So if you don't buy as much, then maybe you can get yourself or treat yourself to something really special at times.
Yeah.
So I like that too. I mean, I personally don't buy any new yarns, but I really think it's worth it supporting small businesses. So that's a good
Yeah.
thing to do, I think.
Yeah. Definitely. Awesome. Cool. Is there anything else you kind of like want to like chat about or promote or anything?
Yeah, I do have two very cute new summer patterns on asramati.com.
Yeah.
And it's the skirt I just showed you. And it's also the Dandelion Dream Dress, which is a huge project and the first ever like maxi length lacy dress that I ever designed as a pattern, because I always used to love to make these things, but
Mm.
writing these down as patterns always seemed to be like not possible. But overnight, I kind of like my brain brightened up and I could do it. And then I designed it within like 3 days or so.
Oh wow.
And it's a really cool size inclusive pattern that everyone should try who likes like lacy designs. I don't know if it shows so well. So this is the top part, and it's pretty long, and it also has like a slit to it, and it has a lot of customized or you can customize it in so many ways. So I put a lot of work into this pattern. It's, I think, more than 20 pages long,
Wow.
a lot of pictures, a lot of detailed instructions, and I'm really proud of this one. And yes, it's accessible for everyone. Um, and also like the very special and cute patterns that I put on Patreon. Like it's going to be an entire collection very soon, the tulip collection. And this top that I just showed you is part of this. So that's something I'm very proud of too.
That's awesome. I mean, it looks amazing. I'll get you to send some photos so I can get some like detailed shots for the podcast as well, so people can see it better. And I'll also have links, so we can send links to your website and Patreon and get people to subscribe and follow you everywhere.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much for talking to me again. It's really nice to catch up again.
Hey.
And maybe
yeah, it was so nice.
If you ever come to the UK, maybe we can do one of these in person. And
I would love to. That would be so much fun.
that'd be amazing. Yeah, yeah. Just give me a shout when you come to the UK, and we'll try and organise something.
Definitely. Or
Amazing.
even I can give you a tattoo if you like my style.
I would love a tattoo. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I have
Cool.
like kind of, I think, a bit of a sleeve that is a bit more different styles, so like they're a bit more meaningful. So yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's cool. I just tattooed another fiber artist the other day in Budapest.
Oh yeah.
And she got something like a crochet hook and a brain, and I all custom draw it for her and stuff. So it was very meaningful, I think, for both of us, because she followed my like Asramati page for a long while, and then she decided to get a tattoo from me, which is also crochet related, which was so cool.
Yeah, I would love. I still haven't got any like knitting related tattoos yet, so maybe my first knitting tattoo would be from you.
Yeah, I would love that.
Awesome. Massive thank you for Fides for talking to me on this episode. The episode got cut off a little bit at the end, just because Zoom only gives you about 40 minutes of recording, so I could have probably talked to her for like hours. It was really fun, kind of just getting back to just chatting and getting to know her a little bit more and how her journey's kind of continued. So yeah, more updates from me. From the time of recording this episode, I have recently been made redundant, so this is why I've got a little bit more time on my hands to create some more videos, work on the podcast. So I'm currently trying to find some new work. Love working with food and drink, but I also would love to do something that is something else that's creative. I really love creating podcasts and editing and creating posts and a narrative. So if you are out there and you have a podcast and you need someone to help edit or produce the podcast, or if you have an idea and you want to create something, please let me know. Just give me a shout, because I would love to try and do more of this. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep on working on my knitting, some new patterns, and hopefully some new episodes as well. I have another episode that is recorded, which will be coming out soon. So make sure you follow me on my Instagram. Is the main place that I'll be posting and sharing. If you're new to my podcast and you've enjoyed this episode, then head on back to my archive. There's about 23 other episodes, including the first time I get to speak to Fides, season 1, episode 8. So yeah, go and check out other episodes if you're new to this, and if you're not, you're an existing listener, then stay tuned for the next episode, which will be coming soon. Thank you everyone for watching or listening to this episode, and stay crafty.